Jaxson in the key. Kick out. Davenport.
A steal for Kentucky. Ahead to Reeves. Left wing three. Got it. Jackson weaves.
A dunk. Bounces off to Adou and he slams it home.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the student section. It's been a minute. It's been a while since I've been here. Ignore the fact that I look a little scruffy right now. You know, I gotta shave up a little bit around here. I'm getting a haircut soon, so next video I upload, I should look normal again. It's been a while. I don't even know what to say anymore. I feel like I'm out of the groove. But I took a little break. You know, I was in school this past semester, and then once summer hit, I was kind of caught up in baseball, surprisingly. So I haven't been making too much. Really, I haven't been making any content. But with the draft coming up, I'm excited. I want to get back into this content space. I want to make some shorts about the draft and whatever else. But I'm ready. As you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be covering the top draft prospects coming from SEC schools. So guys that are going into the draft this year that are from SEC schools. And I'm only doing guys, and another reason I waited for this video is I wanted to wait. First thing I want to wait for is for all the guys to announce that they're going into the draft, like announce their name into the draft. I wanted to wait for all the early exits, like a Boogie Flan, for example, was an early exit. I wanted to wait for the official draft combine and G League combines to come out. And then I wanted to see the results from there and just wait for everybody to officially announce or denounce their name from the draft, which is where you get like Carter Knox was a late exit. Todd Pettiford is a late exit. Those are the reasons, the main ones, other than the fact that I was just being lazy. But I mean, without further ado, we don't have any top five because obviously we're out of season. There's no games, no highlights to cover. So let's get straight into the prospects. All right, starting off here with this, I'm going basically in order from what I've seen on, I guess on mock drafts, just their average ranking. So Tre Johnson is going to be first, as you can see on the screen, but it'll kind of just go down. The lower we get, the lower the ranking is going to be. And I do have a few guys cut off, like Sean Padula is not going to be in here. Tamar Bates is not going to be in here. There's a few guys that are technically in the draft, but they're not. I just don't see them getting drafted anywhere. I don't see them on any sort of big boards. So those guys aren't going to be in here. Like, I don't think I have Grant Nelson on here either. I just haven't really seen him get too much draft buzz. But anyways, with that out of the way, I'm just, like I said, I'm going to be covering the main guys that are probably going to get drafted or at least make a summer league roster and play, which is why those other guys aren't going to make it. So starting off, like I said, with Tre Johnson, as you can see on the screen, the pros I have for him is going to be overall just shooting. We all know that. 3-level creation, just as he has a great mid-range, like he 3-level. He can get to the rim, great mid-range, great three-point shooter. And his comfort, that's more like comfort, confidence type of thing. He looked super comfortable as a freshman coming in and being the lead scorer of the SEC. Just going over some of his stats. Past season, he averaged 19.9 points per game, 2.7 assists, and 3.1 rebounds. Pretty efficiently as well. 42% from the field, 39 from three, and then 87 free throws. So he's a little short of 50, 40, 90 just because of that field goal percentage. But with that being said, effective field goal percentage is at 51. But if I scroll down to a few other things, we'll talk about this later once we get to the cons. But like I said, shooting, obviously, I just read off those percentages. He's pretty elite at those. 3-level creation, if I look up, okay, so total field goals attempted, he shoots 26 field goals a game. He makes 11 of them. And then three-pointers attempted, he attempts 11 three-pointers a game. So that's a lot. Almost half of his shots are threes. But he does get to the rim pretty well. He gets a decent amount of layups. He attempts, or decent amount of free throws, which you're going to get from rim pressure. He shot 7.1 attempted per game, made about 87% of them. I already went over that. So moving on to cons, or pros and cons. The cons is going to be number one, defense. I'm trying to find his advanced stats to see his defensive rating. If they have a personal player defensive rating. I'm like, even just with the eye test, he's not going to be very efficient. He has 1.1 defensive win shares, which is kind of a weird stat, but. Defensive box plus minus is a 6.5, which isn't really the greatest. Well, actually, it's a 1.2. So not the greatest, but just even the eye test, he just doesn't really fight over screens. He gets blown by a lot. He'll like do that thing where he reaches for a steal and gets blown by. He just a lot of defensive lapses. Now that is obviously something that can progress. He has the he has the frame for it. I believe he's 6'6", 190. He doesn't have his wingspan on here, but it's okay. He has a pretty decent wingspan too. And then playmaking. He only, like I said, here's where I'm going to pull up his advanced stats. His usage rate is a 29.1, which is a 30% usage, which means he's in 30% of the plays during the game. That's a lot. That is a lot. I mean, usually for usage rates, you want to see kind of around 18%. But a guy like him having it around 30, that's really high. That's like Tre Young numbers. And he only his assist percentage is only 16%, and then he averages what was the assist number I had right up here? Yeah, only 2.7 assists per game. You like to see that go up. And overall, just like play vision, like reading a play, reading cuts, reading backdoors, all that stuff. He's just not the greatest at it. And number 3 is going to be settling. One thing I really wanted to see more of him, out of him in his freshman season, was his ability to get to the rim. I said this all year long. He can get to the rim. We saw it in high school. We saw flashes of it. A lot of times he was settling for pull-up jumpers and not really getting those easy buckets. And, I mean, he averaged 20 points per game in the SEC. He led the SEC in points. So, I mean, say what you want about it. I mean, I just think once you get to the NBA, you want to be able to get to the rim. You want to draw more fouls, which, I mean, he drew a decent amount, but you want to see more from a guy with that high of a usage rate. And then going to his comparisons, I have Allen Houston, Devin Booker, Cam Thomas, and then NBA readiness, I have him at an 8.5 just because of the defense, the lack of playmaking, and the settling. But everything else, I think it's super great. That's why he's not any lower than 8.5. And I have his potential at a 10 because a scorer like him with the frame like he does, if he's able to develop that defense, he's decently athletic in terms of like vertical. He's pretty quick on his feet. I could see that him developing into one of the best players in the league. Obviously, that's a ceiling. That's their potential. More realistically, I could see him developing into that Devin Booker type level. Cam Thomas at the lowest, just like a really high volume 6-man. I don't see that happening. I think Allen Houston is going to be more realistic in between those two. But like I said, he can reach all 3 of those levels. Moving on, we have Jeremiah Fears. Let me... my mouse, I got to get more. Okay, Jeremiah Fears. Let me pull him up on this. Let me get his stats pulled up. Okay, so... he's going to be a 6'4" guard, combo guard. He's going to be primarily on the ball, but I wouldn't really classify him as a point guard. At 182, he's a little smaller in terms of weight. But let's see. So his points, he's averaging 17.1, 4.1 rebounds, and 4 point assists. So he's getting more rebounds and assists than Tre Johnson had. And his efficiency numbers, they're not the best. He's shooting 43% from the field, 28% from 3, 85% from the free throw line, which 85%, it's good. I mean, it could be better for a guard, but it could be worse for sure. At a 48% effective field goal percentage. So looking at his pros, offensive versatility, he can basically do everything on offense. He can be the primary ball handler. He can be an off guard. His off-ball movement is really good. I mean, there are a few holes, obviously. I'm going to go over that in his cons. But he has the ability to do everything on the court offensively. Obviously, from a guard perspective, he's not going to be posting up, getting offensive rebounds. But his versatility in the offense, you can kind of put him in any sort of role in terms of a guard, and he can thrive. Number 2 is going to be his quickness. He has a very elite first step. Gets by defenders very easily. And once he gets there, he's very decisive. And then number 3 is going to be his clutch. We saw it all year. He was hitting game winners, super big shots, super elite prospect. Moving on to his cons, his assist to turnover ratio, if I can pull that up, is not good. He turns the ball over quite a bit. Where is it? I can just go over his average steals. It's not going to have the actual ratio. So turnovers, he's averaging 3.4 turnovers to a 4.1 assist. I can't do quick math, but it's like a 1.2 probably assist turnover ratio, somewhere along those lines. And as an elite or as a primary guard, like I said, he's more of a combo guard, but Oklahoma uses him more as a primary guard. With the ball in his hands, you don't want that many turnovers. You want more decisive pass playmaking. You want to be able to read the plays a little bit more. And he's going to develop that as time goes on. He's only like 17 years old. So there's no rush. He's a really young guy. I don't know if he reclassified or something, but he's really young. There's still plenty of time. That's no big deal. That's why he's still so high up in draft rankings, because that's something you can develop over time. Another con is there's no elite skill. I mentioned how versatile he is on offense, but there's not one thing he's super elite at. Like I said, he does have a quick first step, but he's not like a mid-range killer. He's not a three-point threat. I mean, we saw the percentages. And he's not like an elite finisher around the rim. He's good at all those things. He can do everything, but he's not elite at anything, if that makes sense. Hopefully that translates well. And then catch and shoot three. I don't know what his exact percentages on catch and shoots are, but I remember seeing the stat. They don't have it on this website. I have to find it somewhere. It wasn't good. He's already shooting 28% in general, and that's off the dribble. Off the dribble is going to obviously be harder, but catch and shoot, you'd like to see that develop a little bit more, especially if he's going to be playing that combo guard where he's not going to have the ball in his hand as much as he did in Oklahoma. You like to see him to be able to develop that catch and shoot ability. My comps, this comp I think is the best one I could think. I haven't really seen it anywhere. Most of these comps I'm coming up off the top of my head. Some of them I did have to look up for help. CJ McCollum, to me that's the perfect comp. He looks like his game is so similar to CJ McCollum. I could definitely see that being where he gets to. I have Monte Ellis as well, and then Dennis Schroeder's another one. But I think that CJ McCollum is the main comp that I would look at. NBA readiness, I have him at a 7.8, mainly just because of his lack of shooting, especially from the perimeter. I think once he develops an elite, consistent jump shot, game over. I have his potential at a 9 because I think he could be at a CJ McCollum, even a little bit higher actually. But that's Jeremiah Fears. Moving on to our next prospect, we have let me get over here. Collin Murray-Boyles. As you guys know, this is my guy. This is absolutely my guy. I've been raving about him all year. I think he's super underrated, even though he's projected late lottery, early, just outside the lottery. I think he's super good. I think it's weird. I think he's projected in the right spot, but I see a lot of people talking about his ability to be an NBA player because you see a lot of college big men that don't transfer their offensive game. I'm not worried about it at all, and I'm going to go over it why here in a second. Pros, post playmaking, especially out of the high post, out of DHOs, out of reading backdoors, dribble handoffs. I already said that. As a screener, super good, super amazing playmaker out of the anywhere in the post. He does it out of the low post. He does it out of the high post. He can do it on the perimeter. He's super good at playmaking for a big man. I love it. Second pro, defensive versatility. He's super versatile on defense. He can guard. I genuinely believe he can guard 1 through 5. He's quick enough on his feet to guard smaller guards, but he's strong enough and not really tall enough because he's only 6'7", but he's perfectly strong enough to guard big men as well. He's not going to be getting blocks. I mean, he can get chased down blocks. He's pretty athletic, but one-on-one blocking, not going to be the greatest, but he's like a fire hydrant down there. He's 6'7", 231. Played as a forward, obviously. We know that. And then that's another thing is going to be his strength. I just kind of talked about that. That's the third pro. Super, super strong. Able to drive and drive through contact in the paint as an offensive player, and he's able to absorb contact as a defensive player. I love his game a lot. Going over cons, these are going to be kind of obvious ones. I forgot to mention 17 points per game, almost 9 rebounds, and then almost 3 assists as a big man. His usage percentage was compared to this year is 26. So it's going to be a little bit lower than Tre Johnson, but he's averaging more assists, more rebounds. He's more of a team player for sure. Someone that you can run your offense through. I'm going to go over that here in a second once I go over the comps. Like I said, shooting, he's only shooting 26% from 3, which is actually pretty similar to Jeremiah Fears, but he's taking a lot less shots. So only 70% from the free throw line. Not the greatest, but it could be worse. And he's almost shooting 60% from the field. So he's super elite around that mid-range, around the rim type area. Going over cons, like I just said, shooting, his height, he's only 6'7" as a forward, but his weight does make up for it. But in terms of being like a one-on-one post defender, that could hinder him. And the third con is going to be his right hand, especially when he's in a post-up position. He's always going to be on that right shoulder, left hand dribbling. You don't see him that often spin around his left hand or spin around his left shoulder and then use his right hand. He can't do it. He just doesn't do it as much, and it's going to end up being usually ends up in like a forced shot or like a fumbled ball and he has to pass out. He has the capability. He can definitely develop that in the NBA, but as of right now, that's going to be his biggest flaw. My comparisons, I always say I could see him playing exactly like Draymond Green in the NBA without the antics, obviously. But his ability to just run an offense from the post, be an elite playmaker, be an elite screen setter, and his ability to defend 1 through 5, perfectly just like Draymond Green. I do think he has more offensive game, but I don't think that offensive post game is going to translate to the NBA. If he gets a switch with a smaller guard or someone the same size as him, absolutely can dominate it. But he's going to be matched up against 6'10" guys, he's not going to be able to take a full advantage of that. Some other comps I have is Julius Randle. That's one I've seen a lot. I don't know if I really agree with it because Julius Randle is going to be more of a perimeter shooting threat. He doesn't play the same type of game. He's going to be Julius Randle's a worse defender, better offensive guy, if that makes sense. And then Charles Barkley, just an undersized big body. I do think Draymond Green is a perfect comp for him. NBA readiness is going to be a 7 just because I think it's going to take time for him to develop a role. I'd love to see him go somewhere like San Antonio would be my favorite spot to see him play next to Wemby. I think he's a better version of Jeremy Sohan if you ask me. But I think it's going to take time for him to carve out a role as like a offensive playmaker, defensive maestro, because that offensive game it's not going to translate as well because of his height. I think his potential isn't 8 like a Draymond Green, like borderline all-star, elite role player on a championship level team. I could see that out of Collin Murray-Boyles. Moving on to Asa Newell. I'll try and move through these a little quicker. I'm taking a lot of time. I want to make sure I cover all these guys adequately because I don't want to miss anything on them. So Asa Newell, he's 6'11", 220, a little bit of a wiry frame, but 6'11" is super tall. Averaged 15 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 1 assist. So it's not going to be playmaking, but that doesn't matter. He shot 54% from the field, 30% from 3, which isn't terrible, and 74% from the free throw line, which also isn't terrible. 58 effective field goal percentage with a usage rate of 23. So he's really not that high of a usage rate, and I'm going to go over that here in a second, why that's super impactful. Pros, athleticism, rim defense, and as a pick and roll man. Athleticism, he's super quick, super versatile, super mobile on offense and defense. He can jump out of the gym. He's catching lobs, blocking all these shots. He's in a super elite athlete, and I already mentioned his frame. I know he has a plus wingspan of it's like 7'1", 7'2" wingspan, something like that around that area. Rim defense, that's going to kind of play a part with athleticism. Super great one-on-one or super great in the help defense or as a chase down rim defense. Super great around there. And then pick and roll man. He's, like I said, super quick on his feet, super good screen setter, and he's a lob threat. Cons is going to be shooting. He did shoot 30% from 3, but he averaged 2.7 attempts and made under 1 a game. So he's not going to shoot a lot of them, but he can shoot them if he's open and has the chance to set his feet. So he's not a terrible shooter. Post play, he really doesn't have a post game. Like I said, he's going to be more of like a perimeter roll man, catching lobs. Like that's going to be his role. He's not really going to be passing the ball. I'm going to shimmy, left hook, spin around him, dunk on him type of thing. And then the other thing, like I already mentioned, mid-range and three-point shot. I don't really know why I have that on here whenever I already have shooting. But his mid-range isn't super effective. The reason his field goal percentage is so high is because he gets so many shots at the rim. You'd like to see him be able to do a little more from the mid-range, but it's whatever. Comps, I have Jeremy Grant, Derek Lively, and Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis, I can see the ceiling because Bobby Portis is going to be more skilled on the ball. He has a more polished post game, but I like Jeremy Grant and Derek Lively more. I actually like Derek Lively the most. Super similar frame, super similar play style. I like the Derek Lively comp a lot. NBA readiness, because he's a big man who can set screens, run, and dunk. NBA readiness, I have 9, but his potential is going to be a 6.9 because he is undersized in terms of weight, but we've seen guys put on weight. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. I just don't see him developing much as like a primary guy. Like I said, Derek Lively, he could be like a pretty decent starting big man on a championship caliber team, I could see. So that is Asa Newell. Walter Clayton Jr., the reigning champion. I've seen a lot of people not very high on his game. I actually do like his game a lot. I have a lot to say about it. Pros, three-point shot, whether it's off the catch or the dribble, like I said, he's an elite three-point shooter. He shot, let's go over his measures real quick. Sorry, I keep forgetting to do that. 6'2", 195, so he's stocky. He's got some weight to him, so he's not going to get punked around too much in the league. 18 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, and then 4.2 assists. He saw a huge assist jump this year, seeing as he moved into that primary role guard. He's not having to share the court with Zion Poland. 44% from the field, 38% from 3, and he takes a lot of difficult shots. So it's not like he's only shooting spot up. He shoots a lot of off the dribble, fading threes, pull up deep threes. He's got it all. And then free throw percentage, 87%, and then effective field goal percentage is 56%. And then here's my favorite part about him. His advanced stats, if we go over to Florida this year, his usage rate is only 25% as a primary guard on a championship caliber team. He's 1,000% able to play off ball. But going over more of his pros, 3-level scorer. He can get to the mid-range. He's a super elite finishing around the rim, through contact, around contact. And then pick-and-roll playmaker. We saw he had a ton of pick-and-rolls with like the seven-footers they had over there at Florida. He's super great in terms of getting to his spots out of the pick-and-roll, deciding whether he should shoot, reading the roll man, reading the fade. He's super good out of the pick-and-roll. Cons is going to be turnovers. This year he averaged 1.9 turnovers, which is actually down. So he's getting better at playmaking and lowering his turnovers, but it's still going to... No, 2.4. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong stat. I was reading personal fouls. So his personal fouls went down. His turnovers went up a lot. He went from 1.1 his first year, 1.8, 2.2, and 2.4. The ratio itself, I already mentioned, he does get a lot of assists. So it's about a 2 assist-turnover ratio, but still 2.4 is... I mean, it's a lot. But it's more so he just makes just a couple of just forced passes or bonehead passes that don't need to be made. I think he'll be able to cut down on that once he gets some experience in the NBA. Another con is going to be his age. He's 22.7. By the time the draft comes around, he's going to be closer to 23 years old, which is an older guard, but that does mean he's more NBA ready. It just means that his ceiling, his potential is going to be a little bit lower than what it could possibly be. I still think he can grow as a player, and he's going to be undersized, 6'2". But, you know, that doesn't stop a lot of people. Comps, I have Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell, and Anthony Simons. I really like the Jamal Murray. I think there's so much similarities in their play style. They're able to play off ball. They're able to be the main creator. They're three-point shot creating, mid-range shot creating, able to finish around contact at the rim. Ceiling, I kind of have like a Donovan Mitchell guy. Donovan Mitchell's going to be more athletic, but similar play styles. Donovan Mitchell's more perimeter-centric. He doesn't have that Donovan Mitchell can shoot the mid-range, but he's not going to focus on it as much as Walter Clayton or Jamal Murray would, and then I have Anthony Simons. NBA readiness, 8.5, and potential, I have 8.5. I could see his potential being higher, but because he's older, it's hard to really say. NBA readiness, I think you can put him on a team. He could be a 6-man or like on a really bad team like Charlotte. Well, not Charlotte because they already have. I'd like to see him go to like Washington, where he can be a primary guard. Even though, you know, Washington isn't the best scenario. I like his game a lot. I'm super high on Walter Clayton. Moving on, we have Adou Thiero from Arkansas. Just an absolute menace, elite athlete. Did I spell his name right? Yeah, I did. Cool. Okay. So pros. Let me go over his measures real quick. 6'6", 200 pounds. He's an absolute tank. Super strong, super athletic. He averaged 15 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. He's just a super versatile, do-it-all, Swiss Army knife type of guy. His pros are going to be athleticism, like I mentioned. He can jump out of the gym, super strong, super fast. Literally any sort of athletic measurable you want out of a guy, he has it. Super big wingspan, he has all of it. Defensive versatility, he can guard, I'm going to say 1 through 4. I'm not going to say 1 through 5. Like if there's a skilled big man, he can't really guard that. But he's super quick on his feet, super mobile, I don't know. He has decent defensive instincts, but it's really his athleticism that allows him to be so versatile. And then his third pro is going to be drive or like work ethic. And usually whenever you see like drive or work ethic on a player's like draft profile, it usually means they're not very skilled. He's a lot more skilled. He's not like a Tijon Salon, who last year I was actually super high on, and he turned out to be an absolute bust. Once I saw Tijon play his first game in the summer league, I was like, yeah, this dude is not good. Anyways, Adou Thiero is going to be more polished than a super raw athlete like Tijon Salon, Patrick Williams. He's going to be more polished than those type of guys. His cons is going to be shooting. He only shot 25% from 3, but he did shoot 54 from the field and 68 from free throw. That's another kind of struggle. His shooting in terms of 3-point, mid-range, and free throws are not the greatest. He gets in foul trouble a lot. He averaged 2.6 fouls per game, and I can remember a lot of games where he was getting into that foul trouble. And another con is his ability to slow down. He'll put his head down and just run super fast and dribble the ball off his knee, dribble it off his foot, make a turnover, make a bad pass, take a bad shot, because he just doesn't slow the game down. I think once he's able to slow the game down and realize when to use his athleticism, when to use his speed, when to use his vertical, he'll be a much better prospect. Comparisons, I have Jonathan Kuminga. I think that's a perfect comp. He plays just like Jonathan Kuminga. I could see Asar Thompson once he gets that offensive game more polished, and then Obi Toppin, just another athlete. He's not as good of a shooter as Obi Toppin, but he can get there. NBA readiness is going to be a 7. Whenever you have a guy who works as hard as him, who's athletic as him, who's as strong, quick, able to jump as high as him, he's going to get minutes on an NBA floor. But his potential is only 7.8 because I just don't know if he'll be able to develop that 3-point shot. anything's possible, especially with the shooting coaches you have in the NBA. But we'll see with him. Moving on, we have Johni Broome. I can't type right now. Johni Broome, SEC Player of the Year, was in contention for the John Wooden Player of the Year award. You see a lot of people rave about him, but if you guys have seen any of my videos, I'm not very high on Johni Broome. A lot of people do really like his game. I just don't see the conversion over to an NBA floor. He's 6'10", 235, so he's got the frame. He's a little undersized being a starting center, but he's got the frame, he's got the weight, he's got the strength. He's 18 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. He's going to rebound the crap out of the ball. 51% from the field, 27% from 3, 58% from free throw, so he's not a good shooter at all. He's able to make a couple, very similar to like how Asa Newell is, but free throw percentage is atrocious. It's terrible. Pros, like I already mentioned, rebounding. He averaged 11 rebounds in college. This past season, 9.5 rebounds his entire career in college. He's got the frame for it. He's really good at getting positioning on that defensive end. Strength, super strong. That's kind of going to go into his positioning ability. And then his other pro is going to be post positioning. That kind of matches up with strength. But in terms of getting someone on his back on the offense and opening up a passing lane, opening up a driving lane, being able to get it, fight for positioning, for rebounding. All three of those kind of go together, but, cons. Footwork. He has no footwork considering he's like such a dominant post threat in college at least. His footwork really isn't that good. He has no face-up game. He pretty much has one move, which is just kind of like the Kobe lean back and spin around you, and even then it's not the best. Touch around the rim, he had a lot of like little baby hook shots, like a 10-foot push shot, like a 7-foot hook shot that there's no touch around the rim. For considering how good he is at getting to the rim, getting positioning, his inability to finish around the rim is not very good. And the reason, he gets a lot of open shots because he's able to get that position and create that space. But if he does have a defender in front of him, he's probably not going to score. And then athleticism. The dude has, he had like a 20-inch vertical. I'm pretty sure I know for a fact I have like at least 7 inches on him in my vertical. So he's not athletic at all, not quick, super heavy feet, almost like a Rudy. His movement looks like Rudy Gobert, super sluggish, big feet, big stomps, no speed, no vertical. He does have better hands than Rudy Gobert, I'll say that. Comps I have Yusuf Nurkic, Andre Drummond, Jacques Landale. Basically just like a guy that can come off the bench, give you some rebounds and physicality, and that's kind of all you expect out of him. NBA readiness, I have a 4, like I said, no post game, no footwork, no touch around the rim, no athleticism. He's pretty much just all rebounding and strength. At least what I project his NBA ability to be. Potential is a 5. If he's able to get a decent, reliable 3-point shot, I could see him getting up to that potential, but that's that for Johni Broome. Moving on, we have Chaz Lanier, one of the best all-around shooters in the league because, like I said, pros, 3-point shot, catching or off the dribble, super elite. He has good range. He can do it all whenever it's in terms of shooting. He comes off the screens very well. His quick release is another pro. The dude can catch the ball and shoot it before you can even blink. It's insane how quick he can shoot. And like I already said, off-ball movement. He's super good in play, super good coming off of screens, whether it's a pin down, whether it's a curl, whether it's off an on-ball screen. He's super good. And then cons is going to be rim pressure. He really doesn't get to the rim. His playmaking is going to be another con with the guy who has the ball as much as he does. I think his usage rate was decent because he did have to share the ball or share the floor with Zakai Ziegler, but usage rate is 28. So he's almost up there at the same level as Tre Johnson, and his assists per game is only 1.1, even worse than Tre Johnson. Like I said, I forgot to go over his measures. 6'4", 175 pounds, 18 points, 4 rebounds, and 1.1 assists. I already went over that. He's shooting 43% from the field, 39% from 3, and that's, like I said, he takes tough shots. He's not just a spot-up guy. 75% from the free throw line. You'd like to see that better out of such a good shooter. But like I said, he doesn't really get to the line too often, only averaging 2.6 free throws per game. That's part of the rim pressure I was kind of talking about. He doesn't put pressure on the rim. He doesn't draw fouls that much. Playmaking isn't very good in his defense. He's basically a cone on defense. Comps is going to be J.J. Redick, Malik Beasley, and Alec Burks. All those guys are kind of the same mold of player. NBA readiness is a 9 because his ability to shoot the ball so effectively. Potential is a 5. I don't see him making it much more than just a catch-and-shoot role player. He kind of has the frame to be a defender. I just don't see the tools there. I think he's pretty much just going to be a catch and shoot guy in the NBA. I could see him having like a 10-year career because of his ability to shoot, but that's all I can see for him. Moving on, we have Alijah Martin, another college champion, SEC champion this year. Alijah Martin's really good. On-ball defense, he's an absolute fire hydrant on the perimeter. He's going to be super tough, in your face, gritty defensive guard. His all-around IQ, just defensive IQ and offensive IQ as a playmaker, he just has a really good feel for the game. And then guard rebounding is going to be another pro for him. He averaged 4.5 rebounds out of this past season in college. He averaged his entire career almost 5 rebounds as a 6'2 guard. That's insane. Very similar to like a Josh Hart type of rebounder. Just comes flying in on the glass, especially on the offensive end. But he averaged 14.4 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. 45% from the field, 35% from three, 76% from the free throw line. So pretty average efficiency numbers. And then his cons is going to be his age. He's another older guy. I think he's close to 23 as well. His height, he's only 6'1.5" with his NBA draft measurements, and his tunnel vision. There are definitely times in this season, his whole career, where he gets so focused on scoring that he just completely forgets that there's anybody else on the team. Comps, I have Jrue Holiday, Davion Mitchell, and Marcus Smart. The Davion Mitchell one I like it just because of the height. I think Jrue Holiday in terms of play style, and Marcus Smart because Marcus Smart is a good defender, but he also gets tunnel vision offensively. Same thing here. NBA readiness is a 5 just because of his lack of size and his lack of being elite offensively with anything, and his tunnel vision. But I think a guy as good of a defender as he is, his potential is a 7.5. He could be just an off the bench or just like a secondary, like primary. He's going to be guarding the primary matchup, if that makes sense. A primary defender, basically. He's going to find his way in the court, and I think he's going to have a slow start, but once we get into his 3rd or 4th year, he's going to be a super elite, valuable player. Not elite, but he's going to be a valuable player, elite defensively. Moving on, we have Amari Williams out of Kentucky. There's 17 players on here. Hopefully, I put timestamps, so if you need to skip through all these, we'll see. Okay, pros. Size, mobility, and dribble handoff playmaking. Super big. He's 6'10", 227. His mobility, super quick on his feet on both ends of the floor. And his dribble handoff playmaking, he's a pretty good playmaker, averaged 3.2 assists. Only 10 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 56% from the field, 25% from three, 62% from the free throw line. So pretty inefficient once you get past 10 feet. And that goes into his cons. Shooting, free throws, and he avoids contact a lot. Like if he's in the paint, like if he's driving to the paint, instead of going through contact, he'll try to Euro step. He'll try to do like a lazy little spin move. I think he'll get better with that once he puts on a little bit more weight in the NBA. Comparisons, James Wiseman, I have that just because of the size, the athleticism, the mobility is very similar to James Wiseman out of Memphis. Isaiah Hartenstein, just because of his ability to play make out of the high post, and Aaron Baines kind of for similar reasons. NBA readiness is going to be a 5 because he can't really shoot the ball. He doesn't have a strong post game, but his size and his ability to play make out of the high post is going to help him find minutes on the floor. And his potential is going to be a 7. I could see him just being like a starting or backup big man on a really good team. That's that. Moving on to Dylan Cardwell. If I can type. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Dylan Cardwell. Pros. Athleticism, hustle, and rebounding. Super athletic. He's going to be a big-time lob threat, big-time screen setter. His hustle, he has like an elite motor. He just non-stop energy and rebounding. He averaged 5.1 rebounds this past season. Only 5 points per game and 1.6 assists. 70% from the field. That's because all of his shots are dunks. Literally, he's only going to shoot dunks. As I say that, he does have a 50% field goal percentage, but I think it's only, or 50% three-point percentage. It's because he only took 2 threes and he made 1 of them, so he's not going to shoot a lot. Really not going to shoot at all. 32% from the free throw line. The dude can't, we're going to get into it. Like I said, pros, super athletic, super strong. He's going to hustle and he's going to get rebounds. Cons, the dude can't dribble the ball to save his life, whether it's in a half-court setting, a transition setting, a post-up setting. He's not going to dribble the ball. Like I said, he's pretty much only going to catch lobs and set screens. Defensive discipline, he fouls a lot. He bites on pump fakes a lot. He'll go for just random steals for no reason. He'll get caught up in passing lanes. He'll fall asleep on defense. it's tough. His shooting, like I already mentioned, the dude cannot shoot the ball at all. He's shooting 70% in total just because he's only shooting dunks. Cannot shoot at all. Comparisons: Bismack Biyombo, current DeAndre Jordan, and Jackson Hayes. I just see him as kind of. We'll go into his NBA readiness as a 4 because he can't shoot, can't dribble. He's pretty much just all physical skills, and then potential is going to be a 4. I think he's going to see the floor because of his hustle. I think it's going to be a long NBA, like a long road to get to the NBA for him. Like I said, with all 3 of these guys I put on this list, they're pretty much no skill. All, like I just see him as just a backup, eat up some minutes, get some run in. I don't really see his potential ever being a starter. He might have like 1 or 2 years as a starter. I don't know. Moving on to Mark Sears. He falls super far in this draft. I'm really high on Mark Sears, but his height is going to kind of term. There's a few other things I'm going to talk about. 6'1", 185, so he's got a frame. He's just super small. 18 points per game, 2.9 rebounds, 5.1 assists. He's going to pass the crap out of the ball. 40% from the field, 34% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line. He's not the most efficient three-point shooter, but he does take a lot of really deep, really hard shots. Pros: he's really great at putting pressure on the rim. He's really good finishing through and around the pressure. He's going to draw a lot of fouls. I think he shot 6.4. Yeah, he gets fouls. He gets the foul line a lot. And his three-point shot, even though it's not the most efficient, he takes a lot of big shots and he makes a lot of big shots. Cons: I already mentioned his size, his age. He's a 4 or 5 year guy. He's a 5-year guy in college, and his defense. Super small. He's not really a cone. It's very similar to Jalen Brunson in terms of defense. Like, he has the strength, but he's just not quick enough or big enough to guard a lot of people. Comps: I have Jalen Brunson. That's the lazy one because he's a lefty. They have the same frame. They have the same weight. They have a similar play style, but Mark Sears is going to be more three-point reliant, whereas Jalen Brunson is going to be more of a mid-range type of guy. I really like D'Angelo Russell in terms of play style. Very similar play styles. 3-ball hunters that can get to the rim and play make. They look to play make a lot. And like a lefty Tre Young, in terms of like statistics, like points per game, the shots he takes, his shot chart is very similar to Tre Young, even though they are going to be different. But in terms of analytics, very similar to Tre Young. NBA readiness is going to be 6.5 because of his three-point inefficiencies, his size and his age, and the lack of defense. But I could see his potential being a 9. He's an elite offensive weapon. I could see him developing into that Jalen Brunson role. It's just a little bit of a stretch. It's possible, but it's not impossible. Okay. It's possible, but it's not likely. Moving on to Koby Brea, we have another. This is a 4-year guy, or 5-year guy as well. He's a really good shooter. Like pros, catch and shoot 3-point shot. Shot selection, he doesn't really take too many bad shots, and his off-ball movement, moving around screens, is very well. His cons is going to be ball handling. He's not the greatest ball handler. He's not terrible. He can put it on the floor, but he's not great. Playmaking, he only averaged 1.3 assists, and his defense just isn't very good. With a guy who's 6'6", 174, you like to see a little bit more defensive versatility out of him, but he just doesn't have it. He averaged 11 points per game, 3.2 rebounds and 1.3 assists, 47% from the field, 43% three-point shooter. I think he might have been the most efficient guy in the SEC. 61% effective field goal and 91% from the free throw line. Just straight up shooter. Comps, I'm going to have Seth Curry, Buddy Hield, and Brent Forbes. I think his NBA readiness is going to be a 9 just because he's such an elite three-point shooter. His potential is a 6, though, just because the defense, a guy with his frame, you want to be a better defender. His inability to play make once he does have the ball, because he is more of a 2-guard. He's going to have the ball in his hand. He's not just a catch and shooter. Very similar to Seth Curry and Buddy Hield and Brent Forbes. I could see him being like an off-the-bench 6-man or like a starter a starter that can only shoot the ball on a championship caliber team. Like I said, he's going to be an elite role player. I think he's going to make a lot of money in the NBA. He's going to have a long career because of his ability to shoot, but he does have very glaring holes. Moving on to Will Richard, another 5-year guy. Well, 4-year guy. He's only a 4-year guy. Pros: off-ball movement, his defense, and his quickness. Cons is going to be 3-point inconsistency, creating space, and shot selection. He averaged 3.3 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 1.9 assists, 48% from the field, 35% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line, 59 effective field goal percentage. So he's going to be up there in terms of overall efficiency. We'll get there. Cons. 3-point percent inconsistency. Like I said, he shot 35%, but it's really up or down. It's hit or miss for him. Creating space, he doesn't have like the... Even though he is quick, he doesn't create much space with the dribble. He's great at creating space off the ball, but not with the dribble. In his shot selection, he does take a lot of bad shots. It's kind of what I'm talking about with the inefficiencies in the three, how it's very up and down. He takes a lot of heat checks. Very streaky. His comps are going to be DeJounte Murray, Colin Sexton, and Andrew Nembhard. I like the Andrew Nembhard and Colin Sexton more just because, I mean, he's 6'5". He has the height of DeJounte Murray. I don't know. I actually do like DeJounte Murray. I think that's probably the best comp. NBA readiness is going to be 4 because of the 3-point inconsistency. His inability to create space with the ball and his shot selection is going to have to really, really, fine-tune that. But his defense, his quickness, and his ability to play off the ball is going to help him find minutes on the court. Moving on to Cam Matthews. This is another one. This is my second favorite player coming out of the SEC. If you guys know, this is my guy. I've been wanting him to win Defensive Player of the Year for the past 3 years. He's elite. He is really, really elite, and he's gotten snubbed out of that award. I'm going to sit on my high horse for his entire career. He should have been an All-SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He does have 2 All-SEC defensive... That doesn't matter. 6'7", 220. He's a tank. This dude is ripped. 7.1 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, 3.6 assists. He's going to be another just all-around, like, Swiss Army knife, do-it-all type of guy. 51% from the field, 24% from 3, and 50% from the free throw line. Moving into his pros, defense versatility, I already mentioned. He's going to be a 1-through-4 type of guard. He's super strong, super elite, like defensive, just feel. He's going to get steals. Like he averaged, where's his steals at? He averaged 2.4 assists. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing. No, 2.4 steals, 3.6 assists. I already mentioned he does a lot. His big cons. Frame. I already mentioned 6'7", 220, big, super strong guy. Motor. He is like just a non-stop pest on defense. Cons is going to be shooting. I already mentioned 24% from 3, 50% from the free throw line is not very good. His age, he's another 5-year guy, going to be an older guy. And defensive discipline. He does get in some foul troubles. He does reach occasionally. He'll fall asleep on defense. Comps, I have Herb Jones, Lou Dort. I think Lou Dort is the comp for him. Once he gets a better shot down, I really like the Lou Dort comp. Herb Jones is another decent comp. And Jared Vanderbilt, it's an all right comp. NBA readiness is 5 just because of his lack of offense. And he's an older guy. But his potential can be like just an elite lockdown wing defender. Moving on to Jaxson Robinson. This is another one of my favorite guys out of this draft class and out of the SEC. I really think he's really, really underrated. He's a 6'7" shooting guard, 193, so he's going to be a little more wiry. 13 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, 1.7 assists. He shoots 43% from the field, 37% from 3, and he does take a lot of difficult shots. And then he's going to be 76% from the free throw line. Pros, like I already said, he's going to be a great shooter, great off the ball, and he has the frame. He has an NBA frame. If you can put a little bit more weight on it, he definitely has that NBA size to him as an off guard. He's going to be a really big off guard. His cons is going to be off-ball defense. He gets lost a lot. Whether it's running around screens, whether it's just paying attention to the play, he gets lost. His play vision, if he's off of a catch and shoot and he decides to pump fake and dribble or he goes around a screen, his secondary playmaking vision is just not there. And his effort, there's just a lot of times where he just doesn't really look too engaged. Not to say that he has a bad work ethic, because he does to make it this far. Comps is another DeJounte Murray comp, more on the offensive end. Aaron Wiggins and then Trey Murphy. Trey Murphy is a little bit of a stretch, but I could see that being there. NBA readiness is going to be a 7 just because of his effort and his lack of defense. But I could see his potential getting up there to an 8, where he's like the second best scorer on a championship team. I could see him getting there. Next guy is Caleb Grill. I don't think I have too many people to talk about left. Caleb Grill wins the award for the worst haircut in this draft. It's a pretty bad haircut. Pro's going to be shooting, off-ball movement, and his deep range. He's a very deep shooter. He's 6'3", 195, 13 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 47% from the field, 39% from 3, and 86% from the free throw. He's just pretty much just a pure shooter. His cons, he's not very quick, not a good first step at all. Shot selection, he takes a lot of bad shots. He'll either be like 5 for 7 from 3 or like 2 for 11. It's really no in between. In his ball handle, he really can't dribble. Comps gonna be Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, Bogdan Bogdanovic. I like the Max Strus comp because of his height. I like Duncan Robinson because of the play style, and Bogdan Bogdanovic because he's white. Just kidding. He has a very similar play style as well. NBA readiness is going to be a 7 because he is an elite three-point shooter, but that shot selection is going to be another thing he's going to have to work on. And his potential, he's just going to be like a roll man, three-point shooter off the bench type of guy. I don't really see much for him. And that is all of my prospects. I did it. That was a lot of talking. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's nice to be back. I'm hoping I can get more videos for you guys, especially around the draft time. I'm super excited for the draft. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.